Hello, Chelsea fans. Welcome back to the Blues Report, and remember to subscribe, then enjoy your news. Let's dive in. Fucando Huonanotte, from Brighton, promised a Chelsea star. The transfer market often writes tales that go beyond numbers, contracts, and headlines. It weaves together human ambition, club strategies, and the magnetic pull of opportunity. Among the stories of the 2025 summer window, one stood out as both fascinating and symbolic of Chelsea's continued rebuilding project: the signing of Argentine midfielder Fucando Huonanotte from Brighton and Hove Albion. This essay recounts the journey, not only of a young talent crossing from the south coast of England to London, but also of a footballer whose determination, technical artistry, and relentless spirit embodied the very essence of Chelsea's new chapter. Early rumblings of interest. The whispers of Chelsea's admiration for Huonanotte had been heard as early as spring 2025. By then, the Argentine had already spent 2 full seasons at Brighton, gradually transitioning from a promising youngster to a key creative influence in their midfield. At just 20 years old, he carried with him the maturity of a player who had navigated the intensity of the Premier League while still carrying the joy and improvisation of South American football. Chelsea's scouts had monitored him extensively. They noted how he operated between the lines, his close control, his ability to slip past defenders with the lightest of touches, and most importantly, his composure under pressure. In an era when Stamford Bridge demanded not just technicality but bravery, Huonanotte's profile fit like a glove. The club's hierarchy, spearheaded by sporting directors who were intent on securing young talent before it blossomed into global superstardom, placed his name high on their shortlist. What followed was a carefully managed negotiation with Brighton, a club renowned for their tough stance in the market. Negotiations with Brighton knew they had a gem on their hands. Having signed Huonanotte from Rosario Central in 2022, they had developed him patiently, surrounding him with a system that nurtured young footballers. By 2025, his stock had risen considerably. Clubs across Europe had made inquiries, but Chelsea were the most serious. Talks stretched across several weeks. Brighton set a premium valuation, knowing that Chelsea had both the financial muscle and the long-term vision to make the deal happen. Huonanotte himself remained calm throughout, but privately he expressed his excitement to his inner circle. The chance to join Chelsea, to play in front of 40,000 passionate fans at Stamford Bridge, and to compete in Europe's top competitions was something he could not turn down. By late July, an agreement was reached. Chelsea would pay a substantial fee, reflecting both potential and proven talent, while offering Huonanotte a long-term contract, symbolizing the club's faith in his future. Arrival in London. The first images of Huonanotte arriving in London circulated rapidly. Cameras captured him stepping off a private car, smiling shyly at the crowd of journalists and supporters who had gathered. Despite his reserved demeanor, there was a visible glint in his eyes, the recognition that a dream was materializing. He underwent medical tests at Chelsea's state-of-the-art facility in Cobham. Club doctors, accustomed to evaluating athletes of the highest caliber, were impressed by his fitness levels. He passed smoothly, and soon after, the contract was signed. 7 years, a commitment to Chelsea's project, a leap into the next phase of his career. First impressions at Cobham. On his first day of training, Huonanotte walked onto the immaculate pitches of Cobham. The sun cut across the grass. Players laughed as they warmed up, and the coaching staff prepared the drills. The Argentine was greeted warmly. Nicholas Jackson, his compatriot Enzo Fernandez, and the Brazilian youngsters made sure he felt immediately integrated. Fucando's first touches in training impressed everyone. The tight control, the balance, and the instinctive way he found space mirrored the qualities Chelsea had sought to inject into their squad. Senior players noted how he demanded the ball fearlessly, even on his debut session. It was not arrogance, it was confidence, the mark of a player who knew that talent meant little without courage. The tactical fit. Chelsea's manager envisioned Huonanotte as a versatile midfielder. He could play as a number 10, drifting into spaces behind the striker, or as an advanced 8 in a midfield 3, linking transitions. His adaptability meant he would not only add depth, but also creativity in matches where opponents sat deep. The club's new style, high pressing, possession with purpose, and explosive counter-attacks, seemed tailored for him. His low center of gravity and sharp turns allowed him to evade pressure, while his vision enabled him to slip forwards like Cole Palmer or Estevão through gaps in the opposition's defense. Analysts at Chelsea presented glowing reports. Huonanotte's chance creation per 90 minutes ranked among the highest for under-21 players in the Premier League the previous season. He was not yet a finished product, but that was precisely the point. Chelsea were signing not only the player he was, but the star he could become. The Argentine connection. Chelsea in 2025 carried a strong South American flavor. Enzo Fernandez was already a central figure in midfield. Estevão Willian represented the future in attack, and players like Kendry Páez were emerging. Huonanotte's arrival strengthened that bond. The Argentine duo of Huonanotte and Enzo was particularly compelling. Both hailed from Rosario, both had grown up idolizing the same legends of Argentine football, and both now wore Chelsea blue. Their connection was instantaneous, both on and off the pitch. In training matches, they exchanged quick 1-2s, read each other's movements instinctively, and brought a South American rhythm to the team's play. The Buonanotte's official debut came at Stamford Bridge in late August. The crowd, buzzing with curiosity, cheered loudly as his name was announced. Entering in the second half, he immediately displayed his intent, collecting the ball in midfield, spinning away from a marker, and driving forward with determination. Every touch was met with applause. Supporters could sense they were witnessing the beginning of something special. Although he did not score or assist that day, the way he carried himself resonated deeply with the fans. The headlines the following morning reflected the optimism. Huonanotte shines in Bluebow. Chelsea's new playmaker offers glimpses of magic. Settling into London life. Away from the pitch, Huonanotte adapted quickly to life in London. He moved into a modern apartment not far from the training ground, often accompanied by his family, who provided a steadying influence. The club's player care unit supported his transition, helping him navigate language, culture, and the pressures of big club football. He found comfort in the city's Argentine community, often dining at local restaurants that reminded him of Rosario. At the same time, he embraced the cosmopolitan spirit of London, walking the bustling streets, visiting museums, and enjoying the anonymity that large cities sometimes provide. The challenges ahead. Of course, Huonanotte knew the road would not be without obstacles. Chelsea's squad was brimming with talent, competition for places was fierce, and expectations were sky high. The Premier League is unforgiving, and every young player faces moments of struggle. But he approached these challenges with humility. He stayed after training sessions to work on his finishing, watched hours of video to study opponents, and leaned on experienced teammates for advice. Coaches praised his professionalism, noting that despite his youth, he carried himself like a seasoned professional. Symbol of Chelsea's project. In many ways, Huonanotte's signing was symbolic of Chelsea's broader philosophy. The club was no longer chasing only established superstars at their peak. Instead, they were building a squad of promising young talents with the potential to dominate for the next decade. Fucando fit perfectly into this blueprint. At 20, he was both a player for the present and an investment for the future. His story mirrored Chelsea's ambition, a blend of youthful exuberance and long-term planning. The emotional dimension. For Huonanotte himself, the move was not just a career step, but a deeply emotional journey. He often recalled the dusty pitches of Rosario, where he first learned to dribble past opponents twice his size, the nights he dreamed of playing in Europe, and the sacrifices his family made to support his path. Now, wearing Chelsea blue, he felt the weight of responsibility. He represented not only himself, but the countless young Argentines who dreamed of following a similar road. Each time he stepped onto the pitch, he carried their hopes. Conclusion: the dawn of a new chapter. Facundo Buonanotte's transfer from Brighton to Chelsea was more than a transaction. It was the story of a young man ascending to the next level of his destiny, of a club continuing to redefine its identity, and of football's eternal cycle of renewal. From Brighton's South Coast Stadium to the roaring stands of Stamford Bridge, from a promising teenager to a player entrusted with Chelsea's future, Buonanotte's journey epitomized the beauty of the sport. The story, of course, is only beginning. What follows will be written in goals, assists, tackles, and trophies. But even now, the narrative of his move stands as a reminder. Football is not merely about the present moment, it is about the promise of what lies ahead.